Before I start my talk, I have two things to say. I got a deal for you in the beginning, and at last we will do something together. My deal for you is I would like to propose this deal, hoping that I get a positive reply. I've done a lot of talks, mainly in Europe and different parts in the world, but mainly in Europe. And I have this struggle or inner dilemma that I am put in one situation where I am addressing a white, middle-class, Western audience, and the projections that I have on me are so challenging. There's a lot of stereotypes that look at her, she comes from Yemen, from the Middle East, she was oppressed, she's now seeking freedom and blah, blah, blah. And then on the other situation, I am struggling with different types of stereotypes from my Middle Eastern region and fellows in the Arab world, where there is projection about me that, look at her, she's westernized, she's talking stuff that serves the Orientalist views. So my deal today is that we may free ourselves from all those kind of perceptions and truly think freely. Is that a good deal? So I am a human rights blogger, and my blog and my story with the blog started since I was at college. When I stepped out of home and went to college, I started to face the society in Sana'a, the capital of Yemen. I started to face patriarchy, to face corruption, to face lack of freedom of expression, and above all, to face a political dictatorship. We were run by a president that ruled us for more than 30 years, and I knew no one ever other president than him. And I started to question about all those issues. And I started to write or contribute stories to local newspapers with hidden names, because I was basically scared. Yemen has the worst record of against the violations against journalists. They're arrested, abducted, abused, sometimes killed. So I knew that it was a dangerous zone. And then when I graduated, I was hired at a newspaper, the Yemen Observer, and it was the only second English-speaking newspaper. And I was very excited about that job because writing was my passion, and it is for now, and it will always be. And journalism was also a wonderful passport. It got me access to meet ordinary people, to meet VIPs, governmental officials, civil society, you name it. And it was so exciting to be at the newsroom also, where at some point I was the only female journalist at the newspaper. And I was sometimes called Mr. Afrah, because I was yelling and fighting, and I really saw myself equal to anyone, any male in that room. It was very fun, and I started also to acquire new skills. I became to be a social media savvy at that time. And I remember going to my chief editor news desk and telling him, maybe we need to start creating a Facebook page for our newspaper. That was 2009. And of course, it was blah, blah, blah. But today, I think they thank me, hopefully. And I remember also telling another colleague, come. There is a website called Twitter. It's wonderful. It's like a big square where you can talk to people from around the world. So that was how I started to be social media geek, I would say. And with the passage of time, I was working as a social and cultural editor, and I was only reporting about social and cultural issues, which were basically problems. And the more I was writing or reporting about those issues, the more I realized that we had a problem with the political system. I knew that we needed a drastic change. I didn't know exactly what that would be, but then the revolution happened, and people took the streets. And, you know, the Arab Spring, it reached from Tunisia to Egypt, Libya, and many different Arab countries, and it reached Yemen as well. And it was such a historical time for my country and for my generation especially, because we youth realized that we need to take things by our hands. And at I would say, the honeymoon phase of the revolution, there was something unleashed inside of us. We knew that we needed courage and bravery to speak out and challenge the authority. And when we had that, fear was not there anymore. And for me, I knew that I'm gonna talk about politics now. And I started to write at the newspaper about politics. And I wouldn't say that I was censored, but there was some kind of ceiling that I was popping into. And I couldn't get my message through. So I thought, okay, maybe I need to find another solution. And I created the blog. And I didn't know what to do exactly with the blog. I had no idea what I can do with it. And I started to write about the revolution, basically. And the more I was writing, the more I started to get readership. And I literally thought that I was just writing for myself. Because, you know, I needed to express myself, to tell stories about those people taking streets and making history. And the blog got a different two kind of reaction. On one hand, I was getting positive reaction from Yemenis and non-Yemenis that, wow, we support you, we encourage you, we admire your work. It was really like, it gave me more energy to continue. And on the other hand, I got hatred and misogynist comments that they were very, it was challenging to filter all of that. And then I came to Sweden. This is in May 2011, 5 months after the revolution started. And things went really bad in Yemen. Violence spread, my family got internally displaced. I was already getting the threats. And and even the airport got shut down. And I didn't know what to do exactly. My brain just stopped. It was a very difficult time. Everything felt surreal. I thought maybe the best thing is to stay. And at that time, I had two struggles. The struggle for my country, for dignity and democracy and justice, and my struggle as a political refugee in Sweden. And still, the blog keep me grounded and give me, like, you know, it was my vision for what I want to tell the world, and to be like a platform where it's basically my megaphone, where I can tell stories to the whole world. And what I know for sure is that I know two things for sure. On the personal level, I know that each has a great amount of resilience that you can do an ocean, usually I say. because of that resilience. And on the collective level, I believe that we have a great power of solidarity that we can show even with the tiny level that you can just free your mind from stereotypes. And maybe today, Yemen's image will be transformed from the tribal, barbaric, violent country to a nation that's working hard to achieve democracy and dignity and justice. And what I know for sure is that together, we can make solidarity transform into a very powerful tool in making change, and sometimes even making a difference, even in a tiny scale. So, and lastly, which is the thing that I told you that we need to do together, I need to take a group selfie. Can we put some light on the audience, please? And I want you, while you're sitting, just to raise your hand and say, yay. Okay, here we go. Is there light? Oh, perfect. Perfect. Thank you.